Hi there, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host today on Archery Talk 101. And what we're going to talk about today is arrow speed, the speed of your bow. Is a faster bow better or not? Some pros and cons. And the other thing we're going to talk about is why you don't get what it's rated at. So to start with, let's go into the speed of a bow. Uh, a lot of people think that the faster the bow, the better. Well, in some cases, it could be. If you shoot longer ranges, that faster arrow is going to have a little bit less drop. Where your problem runs into is that faster arrow, that bow is faster. When you make a mistake and don't have good form on the slower bow, that arrow has more time to correct itself. Now, as you get faster and faster, the arrow has less and less time to correct itself. And any mistakes you make are exaggerated a little bit. Them faster bows, they're more sensitive to having correct form and not having correct form. So you want to think about that when you're getting your bows that are faster. Then you also look at mechanical and fixed broadheads. The faster the bow, the harder it is to tune that blade in. You have a fixed blade, the slower bows isn't affected as much. As you get faster and faster, that broadhead up front, because you have wings in the front and wings in the back, it gets very important in order to get good arrow flight, that you have good alignment between your blades as well as your fletching. So that's something you have to think about as well. And then mechanicals, when you have a slower bow, they're not likely going to open up. As you get faster and faster, you have more of a chance of that broadhead opening up. So that's something you have to look at too, is if you get some of the real fast bows, you might have to think about possibly going to mechanical blades that are designed for crossbows, because they're designed to handle that quick snap that comes in from the crossbow. So you might have to look at that. As bows get faster and faster, you want to start looking at that. It's something to consider what you're going to do on that. Now, let's get on to the section where we're talking about why can't I get the speed the bow is rated at? Well, first off, let's talk about how that's rated. All the bow manufacturers do it the same way, so it's a fair comparison. So if you get a bow that's rated at 320 feet per second, a different manufacturer rates the same speed, you can expect to get similar results out of your setup. Now, the way those are tested, they're tested at 70 pounds, 30-inch draw length, and 1 nock point, and a 350 grain arrow. That's how the specs are rated. So now, are you shooting 70 pounds? You might be, so that meets that requirement. Are you shooting 30 inches? Majority of the hunters are not shooting 30 inches. So you're not going to get the speed because you have a little shorter draw length. Then 1 nock point. Have you put a loop on it? Have you got a peep on it? Have you put a kisser button on it? Have you put any string silencers on it? That's all going to slow the speed of the bow down. Then if you've changed your strings, some strings will increase your speed and some will actually decrease it. So now are you using the original string that it was tested with? Now then, let's talk about the arrows. That is where you're going to have probably your most effect on your speed, because how many of you are shooting 350 grain arrows? Your real light ones, I know my target arrows are about 370 to 390 grains, right in that range. My hunting arrows, they happen to be a little bit heavier. So as you start increasing the weight of the arrow, you're going to decrease the speed of the arrow as well. So that's all things you need to consider when you talk about speed. Why can't I get the speed out of it that it's rated at? Just remember, there's a lot of factors that go into that. You want to make it so that you can shoot. It's more important to have a consistent arrow flight. So you want to have your bow set up correctly so that you get the best arrow flight. And then other things that can affect the arrow speed as well is, are you using a prong style rest that your arrow slides against? That's going to slow it down some. Are you using a drop away? That's not going to generally slow it down any. Now, if you want to really affect the arrow speed, go to a biscuit, because you have 100% contact with the arrow the whole way through, including the fletching. So now you're going to slow it down going through that biscuit. Now, the advantage of the biscuit is you don't have to worry about your arrow falling off your rest when you're hunting. So you have to decide, do I want consistency? Do I want security of knowing my arrows are going to be on my rest? All that plays into what you're really going to get. And then do I want to shoot a fast bow for target and slower bow for hunting, or faster bow for hunting and slower bow for target? That's all stuff you have to think about too. And then as well as the shootability, some of them fast bows, as they get really fast, they're not as easy to shoot, because in order to get that speed, they're going to have to do some work with your limbs, your cams, all that. They're going to load a little differently. So do you really want a fast bow? That's up to you. It's not something that anybody can say. I can say, yeah, go get a real fast bow, or get a slow bow. On my hunting bow, which happens to be a little bit older than my one I use for target, is actually rated at 320, where the one I use for target's rated at 305. And my hunting bow is a 2001 PSE Carrera. They were rated at 320 feet back, 20 some years ago. The Scorpion, which is a 2004 model, that's only rated at 305. So am I going to get that speed out of it? No. You might have to take a look. One of these days I'll do a little comparison to see how much the weight of an arrow will affect the speed. Put a chronometer, speed meter on it. Drawing a blank with the chronograph on there. And then I'll show some different ones, because I have some lighter arrows and a little bit heavier arrows, and we'll see, how they affect it. So that's all stuff that you need to consider. So that's up to you. And I got a couple other resources for you if you're interested in learning more about this. You can go out to Facebook and join the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group. I'll leave a link in the description below of how you can join there. Just fill out the questionnaire, the questions, and you'll get in the group. The other option we have is to go out to archerytalk101.com. There's all kinds of information out there. There's reviews. Was I review an item, I'll put a link into it so you can go purchase it off Amazon or wherever I happen to have the link where the item is. There's also going to be some other information that is sorted out by videos I've done on archery technique, bow tech information if you want to learn any from there. All that stuff is also available in the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group. So I'll leave a link for that in the description. There's also, you can get some coaching. I do offer a couple different coaching programs, one being a private coaching where you get an hour with me one-on-one, and the other ones are group coaching. Be 4 to 6 people. I try to limit to right at 4 people in there so we can get some good time, and that's a weekly coaching call that lasts for an hour, and you'll have groups of 4 in I'll put a Facebook group together so you can upload your videos. We can critique videos, critique your form, and all that in the coaching program. And I'll leave a link to a questionnaire you can fill out to book a free 15-minute call with me to see if coaching might be something that you might be interested in. That'll also be in the description below. So once again, my name is Roy Canterbury. I've been your host today on Archery Talk 101.